Hey, welcome everybody. I'm the Urban Watcher, and this is Understanding Banished, a tutorial guide. In this video, we're going to be talking about food production. Food production is a really complex task, and it's one of the main one of the main components of in surviving Banished and letting your people grow. Those three components are food production, resource production, and people management. Those are the three key elements to being successful in Banished. So what we're gonna do is I have an early save that we're gonna go around and I'm gonna show you some of the basics on how to grow crops, or how to begin a pasture and raising animals, or how to begin fishing. Okay, and these items are your basics for making your people happy in the game. And we'll talk about happiness because food diversity is an important concept in the game. All right, so the first one that we have is the crop field. And of course, circling that and putting it down is going to be the basic. And here I have a field where I'm raising wheat. Now, when you start off any one of these games, you might have maybe one seed or two seeds, and that's going to be kind of your limitation of what you can grow. And early on in the game, you're going to have a hard time. You're going to see your yield go lower and lower and lower. And so if you know anything about the real world, if you paid attention into high school basics of like how farms work, and you should understand this, you need to rotate your crops just like you would in your real life. Here you'll see I have a lot of options because I've been trading around and getting all the seeds that I need. And what you do is after like 3 growth cycles, by the time you hit winter, you want to make sure that you after they've harvested everything during the winter time, switch something else. So they're harvesting these right here, and I'm gonna switch everybody to squash. That means that this next year they're gonna plant squash, and that's gonna give me a food. They're not gonna eat all that food immediately. You're gonna have so much to trade, and the concept of food diversity is one that I wanted to talk to you about. If you concentrate in the game on just one thing, like fish, people typically do fishing or they go hunting because they can't figure out how to do the cattle or do any of that. Well, if you do that, yes, you have technically food, but think about how unhappy you are if you were forced to eat the same thing over and over again. And that kind of affects not only the health, but also the average happiness of your citizens. And that's how you score your game, and how happy, and how healthy you can keep your citizens. Okay, this is really important. So you want to make sure that you include as many different types of food sources, not only to provide food for them, but to keep them happy with the diversity of that food. All right, the next thing that I have is orchards, and orchards are almost virtually the same as your crop fields. You plant them the exact same ways. The different seeds, you're going to get them through trading. Your trader, you're going to request the types of seeds that you want as they come around. You'll start off with 1 or 2, and unless you have 2 to be able to alternate back and forth, your yield is going to be very low. And these are important. You want to make sure that you plant in the spring, and make sure that you harvest in the autumn. Don't if you In the early autumn, the better, because right now they're about they have a quarter left, or a third left, and as soon as we hit late autumn, whatever's past late autumn and the snow comes, they're going to lose whatever's left. So you want to make sure that you begin harvesting around early autumn. That would be the ideal time, because they'll be done by the time that winter hits. All right, so that is orchards. Now, pastures. This took me a while to figure out. A friend of mine had to tell me. Thank you, Kaz, for the tip. Here is what you did. Okay, so when you start off the game, you typically do not have an animal. I think I haven't tried easy or anything, but you might start off there. When you start the game, so I'm going to empty this into another one. These sheep are going to be moved somewhere else. When you start the game, there's going to be a question mark right here, and you can assign people to it, and you're going to see that I have 6 people assigned to do this job, and I only have 1 person here. So I can increase the number of people that, and now I have 2, 4, 6. So there you go. That's how many people are in there. But you have a big question mark. So that means you don't really have any animals. What you do is the way you get animals. So don't start off and think that immediately from the beginning of game you're going to be able to have a pasture and grow your animals. No, 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 no. What's going to happen is whenever you have a trader, there is a trader that brings specifically chickens, sheep, and cows. And what you do, if that person keeps bringing just meat and stuff like that, you can order it from his menu, and then or, he'll eventually bring the beginnings of that meat, of that, not meat, but the animal itself. And what you do is, if and be careful with this. Let's say that you buy 10 cows. Well, if you do not immediately move those 10 cows into a pen here, they will die, especially around the wintertime. And this is about growing. So if I were to put in cattle and I have 0 of 20, that's exactly what you would see. There would be no cattle here whatsoever. So the first time that you do this, you're going to move them from your trade pen into this empty pen. If you already have those animals, then here's what you can do. So I'm going to change this to sheep, and I'm going to show you and speed this up how you do it. So you click on sheep. I have 23 of 15 in here. That means I have way more. You can click on split, and this moves half the animals in this pasture into an empty one, and that's this one. So I click on here, boom, it drops down. That's half. And then as I speed this up, you'll see that the people that tend the animals are going to move them into here. And so what was happening is they were slowly being butchered in that one because I only want them to have 15 animals in there. So there, I've replaced them back. Now let me slow that down. Okay, so let's talk about that's Pastures. That's how you run the Pastures. And if you're wondering when you're playing the game why you're not able to get your pasture up and running, you really kind of need it seeded and you can only do that during the trader. The fishing docks are one of the early forms of food that you can get. You typically have food lying around. You want to put them in as much open space and not overlap them. So this fishery has that circle of effect, and it just like fishing in real life, you'll use up all the fish. If let's say if I put another one right to it because I think I'm smart and I want to move all the fishes to the closest town center. Well, that's bad because you're going to get less and less yield as time because you have double the resources pulling from that one little hole. You want to be able to move them an epicenter away from that so that you can continue fishing and you don't run that, you don't overfish that area. So you set it down and then you assign the people to it. Do not click work. When you click work on in the game, that means stop working. It's kind of backwards. When you click work, they all get back to work and they'll start doing, you set your limits. That's it. That's fishing. Fishing is one of the easiest and earliest things. Now, hunting cabin and the hunt gatherer's hut are one of the second earliest things that I do in most games. And here is the secret to it. So, here was my town center, and I allocated everything right of the village as a place where I can have resource collecting. So I'm not allowed to touch anything over here. It's only for gathering and hunting and things like that. So I've used the river as that dividing line. So here I have an herbalist. And I also, the herbalist is some, and I'll talk about him later, but I've separated the herbalist in a different area because they do the best job in the oldest part of the forest, and you don't want anything else. You don't want anything industrial. I have a house for the herbalist over here, so that it's not in the area effect really. And the same thing I did for the gatherer's hunt. You can match up the gatherer's hunt and the hunting cabin together, and they have an area effect, and they're not going to affect your trees or anything like that. So they can gather in the old part here and they can hunt. Remember, hunting, your animals will be scared off the more activity you have in that area. So if you start moving mines or town centers or storage areas into that area effect, you'll see less and less animal and you'll collect less and less meat and materials. So you want to make sure that you're separated. So here's an area effect that kind of overlaps a little bit, but it doesn't really affect it. Here's another area effect, nothing, I'm not cutting any trees down over here. I've put my tree cutting way over here, which is kind of, it's further enough away that it's not going to affect affected. My gathering of my barns and my stockpiles are a little bit to the left. And as I've been growing, I've been encroaching on this area, and I'm about to abandon it and keep growing outwards. So there is your hunting and your gathering. So guys, wherever you place these things, it matters. You want to make sure you put your hunting and gathering away from your town, that you're not going to grow into it by accident. You need to pre-plan and put paths, and make sure that their living areas are nearby but not within the area. Don't put it like right next to there. Okay, so that is how you handle food production. You remember, you want to make sure that you're producing more food than you consume. And you once you're doing that, you can promote growth. In another video, I'll talk to you about how mating works in the game, and if your people are dying off, which is a common thing. We'll talk about everything in the video called Putting It All Together. It's going to be one of the last videos. So guys, if you like this video, give me a thumbs up, leave a comment, let me know what you want to know about the game. I'm kind of giving an overview, going through all the tools, and this has been food production. In the next video, we're going to be talking about resource production, which is it's not as straightforward as you think, but we'll cover that in the next video. And then after that, we'll do one more toolbar, and then we'll do what's called I'll give you a walkthrough of my town and tell you the rationale for why I'm putting things down. That should be a short video. And then after that, I'm going to do kind of how to survive the first 10 days to get you started, because all the core concepts of what we're doing can be learned in the first 10 days. And it's a longer video, but you may choose not to watch it. It's fine. I'll try to summarize everything. Alright guys, leave a comment. I'm the Urban Watcher, and thanks for watching.